right, we're live. I think we're live. Okay. So let me start by asking a question. What does the word connection mean to you as an entrepreneur? And do you feel like maybe you've lost that connection over the last few years? Maybe connection to your team, to your clients, your audience, to yourself? Well, on today's episode of Live with Laura, I'm joined by my very special guest, Ginger Johnson. She is a keynote speaker and a trainer. Connection is her jam. I love that description in your bio. Like,
not just jelly, sister. It's a jam. Let's get all the sweets and everything in there.
Yeah. And so I just knew you were the perfect person to have this conversation around connection. So I can't wait to get this started. So welcome, Ginger.
Thank you. Let's get this jam rolling. Thanks for inviting me, Laura. Like, what a perfect example of connection right here, right? We used to be on opposite sides of the continent, which is the continent, right? Connection is different than networking because the second you and I started talking, thanks to Kirk Drake, our friend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, kids, we don't even need a candy store. We don't need a sandbox. We're like, wee! That's how connection sometimes feels.
Yeah, it felt like that. It's so funny when you meet. So like we met virtually, so we've never met in person. And yet that first conversation was like, we just went for it. Like we went all in and it was such a good conversation. And that's just continued. And that was through an introduction. And so that was really a beautiful thing. So I'm so thankful that we got connected. We've got Diane. Thanks for joining us. Okay. So yeah, if you're here live, pop in a comment, say hi. So Ginger, something that you...
Can we ask them something, Laura?
Yeah.
If you're here, pop in one good thing about your day. Like when you connect, just like you and I, Laura, Diane, everybody who's here watching live or after the fact, do it with intention. So put one thing that's really good about your day. You can put this show because that's a great thing about your day. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
I love it. Yeah. Share what you're up to. Okay. So something I read that you said is you believe that connection is the art, science, and energy that makes the world go round, which I love. So can you share, like, what does that mean? And just dive into that a little bit to get us kicked off.
Certainly. The art, science, and energy. There's rarely anything in life, Laura, that's one-dimensional. Once in a while, we see that beautiful spider web that catches the raindrops or something. And even then, there's texture to that. So when we think about connecting, there are multiple parts to it, multiple facets, multiple elements, wherever you want to load that information in your head. It's kind of like the trifecta of head, heart, guts. When we have the art, the science, and the energy all together, just like brand chemistry, we really start to get cooking. And here's an example. If we have the art's amazing. We have the art. If we don't have the science and the energy, not quite everything is possible. If we have the science, oh, yeah, that's fascinating because there's science to that. No lab coat necessary, although get a really colorful one, you're good. The art and the energy isn't there. It's going to feel one-dimensional. And same thing with energy. Energy is everything. We know this. This isn't woo, this is fact. When we have those three together, Laura, the magic, the chemistry that happens is really given an opportunity to grow, to flourish. Because connection, for the record, please, if you're listening to this live, you're watching this afterwards, know that connecting is not networking. They are different. They are vastly different.
So can you you may want to finish your thought, but I'd love to hear how you define those two things.
Yes. So just like I define in the book, and I know somebody's going to get one of these, networking is a thing. It's a noun. It's a network. Okay, fine. Build it. It's a structure. Please, please, please never mistake human connection for networking, because connection is personal. It's deep. It's meaningful. It has intention. It has the components that help us say, oh, that Laura, even though we haven't met in person yet, great word to use, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
The hugs are going to be epic. The laughter is going to be great. The conversations, whether we're at loggerheads or we're loving it up, will be better, more productive, more respectful, more truly, deeply meaningful. And that's what connection is. I always find it ironic, Lauren. Tell me if you've heard this before. Anybody listening right now, put something in the chat if you heard this before. People say, oh, I like to network. Well, why is that? Because I like to connect with people. Well, then use the right words. Use the C word, not the N word. Use the connecting word. Because if that's what you really mean, you don't go to the Dairy Queen or the Dairy King or wherever you get those twist cones that are maybe milk, maybe not. You don't say like, I like chocolate, and they give you vanilla, and you're like, that's exactly what I wanted. No. If you order chocolate, get chocolate. If you want to connect, call it connecting.
Yeah. And Diane says, yeah, connecting is completely different than networking.
Diane is so smart. Diane, like, tell everybody, get on your soapbox, get on your rooftop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love this. You're connecting with your group. Diane has a calligraphy business, yes. So she's connecting with her membership at 2:30. So you're going to walk into that session with even more intention, which I absolutely,
Diane, we're so glad you're here.
Absolutely love. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a big difference. Our words really, really matter. Just like with your fabulous book, which, by the way, I love this book. It's simple. It's incredibly useful. You're not mincing words. Leave that for the kitchen. In fact, we were almost in my kitchen. Think about how you want to not actually come across. How do you want, and I know, Laura, you're going to totally get this. Think about how you want to be fully you. That's your North Star, y'all. So don't think about who you want to, what you want to do. Think about who you want to be. Because connecting then starts with self. There's another trifecta. I teach a lot of trifectas. I like trifectas. Maybe it comes from my art background because there's triptychs. Anyway, rabbit trail for anybody who gets that. When we think about the head, the heart, and guts, just like the art, science, and energy, we think about that merry middle. And I know you know this, Laura, with color theory. We've both studied it. Like, what makes brown? Any three colors makes brown. There's a nice little fun fact for anybody. When we put these things together and we get that merry middle, that center of the Venn diagram, which those three circles, whether they're three-dimensional or whatever they are, then we really start the chemistry development. It's like, oh, something's growing in the petri dish. Something's growing. And I know you, Laura, and everybody's listening, Diane, like, if growth is top of mind, you are going to connect. And here's the beauty of it too. And then I'll shut up and we'll keep moving. When we focus on connecting and we do it with intention, we're focused on value, not volume. We can only literally connect one at a time, just like mixing color, just like looking at brand design. Look at one element at a time. We literally can't digest or process multiple parts, whatever they are, at the same time. So if you focus on connecting one at a time, as an entrepreneur, please hear me. Focus on one at a time. Leave the grind for the coffee maker and focus. Focus. Put your energy where it's going to be returned. Make sure it's symbiotic. Make sure the merry-go-round has several horses and you sit on several.
I love that. And I think it's so true. You can get so wrapped up in, I want to meet all the people and do all the things. Like, I was just in the Bahamas with a group of amazing entrepreneurs. It was close to 30 of us for about 3 days. Now, you can't connect with 30 people in 3 days, but you want to. You're like, I want to know everybody.
Right.
You can't. And I said, if I walk away with 5 really deep connections, that will be perfect. Right. And so I think we often get wrapped up, and then you end up having more superficial conversations with more people instead of going deep with fewer people.
You're so right. And here's the off the hook here. Laura, you're so right. You went in with intention. IGST, intention, goal, strategy, tactic. Your intention was 5 people among 30. Now, whoever is listening, if you're listening, watching this live or after the fact, please choose your number. Choose your number. Laura chose 5. That's still, like, some people are like, I'm an introvert. First of all, there's no crutching out on that. That's like saying I'm a nonprofit. These bunny quotes come from somewhere. Don't use those. Don't give yourself that excuse, because that's what that is. Say, I'm going to meet X number of people and I'm going to focus on them, because I'm going to focus on me and who I really deeply want to connect with. Just like our first conversation, Laura, like, okay, it came from a trusted friend. And it could have been the Y in the road. It could be like, yeah, meh. It wasn't. It was marvelous. So focus on the number that works for you. So if one of your descriptors is an introvert, or you're introverted, I encourage that version of the word instead of introvert. If you're introverted, if you're introspective, choose one person. One person. What are the odds you're going to connect with one person, Laura, if you walk into any size room?
Pretty good, I would think.
100%. Yes.
100%,
Pretty good.
okay.
Yes, I'd lay odds on that.
Okay.
If you want to meet one person and there's at least one person in the room, guess what? That's where the intention is. That's where you design what you're going to do. Now, are there actual tangible steps to this? Yes. I outline them in my canon. I share them on my website. Focus on the intention of, I'm going to start with one. And if that one is great and I want another, then I can add another. But just like you said, you can network poorly with 30 over the space of 3 days. You can. If that's your goal, have at it. This is not your show. We love you. Go grind somewhere else. If you want to focus on meaning and worth and riding this entrepreneur like crazy bull, then focus on one at a time. And one for so many reasons. I know you know this too, Laura. Like one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Do something well and then add. Do something well, then add. That's the best kind of growth.
Yeah, I had 2 connection calls with women that I've never met in person, but we've recently connected on LinkedIn. And, you know, my intention, so I set an intention every morning on how I want to live this day.
Good.
And I have 7 words that are my like manifesto of how I live my life. And like every day I have to have at least one of those words on my agenda for like, this is how I'm going to show up and live today. And connection is pretty much all on every single day. But it helps me to set up the frame of my day. And so when I'm going into these calls, it's like the only thing I need to do right now is have a powerful conversation with the person in front of me.
Yes, because what does that mean when you do that for the other person in the conversation, Laura?
Well, they feel seen and heard and appreciated.
And what does that do?
Makes them want to support you, or makes them want to like just be in your space and energy.
Right. And what is that capable of?
Building your business, amplifying your voice.
And how does that feel to all of us?
That feels amazing.
Oh, that's the belonging. That is the core, the outcome, here they come again, of connection. We don't connect to collect. We connect to belong. And just like you said at that retreat in the Bahamas, 5 people, that's a pretty darn amazing size group. Size is not the issue. You can run with that if you want.
Yeah.
Size is not the issue for connection. Just like design, bigger, badder, better. Well, is that what you want? Figure out, again, focus on who you want to be, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Especially, there's a lot of like, woo, what about this? And how about this? This is the right way. This is the only way. This is the absolute structure. Follow this, do this. You're like, freaking, I call that gnat working, because you're like, all of a sudden, like all these things.
Oh my God, that's what you're batting them away. Oh my God.
On the signal, the
Yeah.
bat light, the lighthouse. That's great design. That's true connection. And when you do that, you are so much better at liberating yourself to drop what you are not enjoying, which isn't productive, what's busy. Like, get rid of busy. Busy's bullshit.
Mm.
Busy's BS.
That's totally okay. No filter here.
Y'all. Yeah. Focus, and say, woo, grasshoppers, right.
Yeah. It's this connecting thing. And I feel like for me, and probably for many people, that was lost to a degree in the last couple of years. I wasn't connecting in the same way. I was not speaking. I wasn't meeting people. I wasn't, we weren't out there doing all the things. And I started to realize how much I was physically and mentally missing the deep connections with people, let alone like family and close friends, but like just from a business perspective, I was desperately missing just having these deep, meaningful conversations with people. And I, I've shared about my trip to Greenland last fall, and it was like, oh, this is what's been missing in my life. Right. Yeah. And then the Bahamas again was like that. And it's so funny. I was saying, somebody here, there's a LinkedIn user. You're not who it is, but there it is. They agree with you. I think it's the person. It was one of the people I connected with this morning because So that's either Annie or Sam. It's probably
Oh,
love it.
thank you all for being here.
So it's going to these events and like how that like the people I've met and the connections and the opportunities and the business that has come from these events that I've attended. And I almost felt, I was like, it feels like so fancy. Oh, I'm going to Greenland, and oh, I'm going to the Bahamas. Like so fancy, Laura. But I'm like, it's so fun and so enjoyable for me. And it is the best way for me to build my business. So why am I fighting this? Because it feels easy. It feels natural to me. And yet I'm pushing against that. And I tried all, did all the things, like you said, like all the things, and nothing has worked as well as the deep connections I make with people.
Right. You're so right. You're so right. As a species, we are, I'll say wired. We don't have wires, but we are veined and arteried to want that. We are, our neuroplasticity somewhat relies on connection with other human beings, with other animals, period. Let's not forget we're an animal. And may I give some ideas, Laura, on how to be your best self and how to better connect via this now permanently online world? It's been here for a long time.
It has, yeah. But that was one of my questions, was how can people build deeper connections in this virtual world? Because we connected, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I deeply connect with people, and sometimes you just don't connect in the same way. And it's more maybe a personality gelling thing. But can you give some tips to people, and like, how can you, like, what are the questions to ask, or how to show up or prepare?
Oh my God. Oh, this is so good. So we only have 6 hours, so we'll go fast.
Amazing.
Okay. So a few things right off the bat. Where is your mindset? If your mindset, if up here, that is in conjunction with your heart and your guts, because all three of these need to be talking. If your intention, yes, I feel the need for human connection, and that comes across as I'm either feeling like I'm missing it, or I want it, or whatever those feelings are that come from our emotions. If you're feeling that way, then focus with intent, focus with purpose, focus on fewer, better, deeper. Let go of the relationships that have not been serving. One thing that I found, there's so many gifts to this pandemic and now this soon to be post-pandemic world that I think came from this experience, Laura, that we would have never thought of, we would have never pursued. Mother Nature took the accordion like, okay, you're not getting something. So here it is. It's now condensed. Now what are you going to do with that? So focus with intention. Let go of the relationships that are not serving you, that do not help you be your best person. And for the record, please hear me. I'd love some love in the chat. If this resonates with you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's you or somebody you know, family is included in this. Never be afraid to clip the line to the boat to family. Hey, everybody's got family wonk. When you are in business, my entrepreneur friends, please don't call your business like a family, because there's so many people in this world like, oh, that brings up all kinds of crap. No. Focus on community, just like you had in Greenland, just like you had in Bahamas, just like you have in your neighborhood, wherever that's at. Focus on community. Start with intention and then say, okay, who do I want to be? Who will help me be a better person? I think that that's one thing that connects you and I, Laura. Like, oh, we're totally growth mindset. What does that look like? One great conversation at a time. Focus on that. Another thing to do, a lovely friend of mine, Rich Harris, super cool cat. Right on. Thanks, Sam. Yes. Play it again, Sam. I just had to. Okay. One of my friends, Rich Harris, send me a video message back the other day. I do this all the time. A video and audio message a lot. I don't use Marco Polo. I use my phone. And I video and audio message a lot. And he said, gee, by the way, you're the only friend I have who uses this. And I'm thinking, really? Okay. Use audio message, use video message. Here's why. When we are feeling like we're in a silo, whether there's no restrictions or all kinds of restrictions, we forget the sound of people's voices. We forget the emotional connection, the visceral, the neural reaction to hearing somebody's voice, to seeing their face. Now, let's grad school this, because entrepreneurs are really smart people, because we're using the E word. There it is. Give them a message that's about them. It's not about you. It's about them. So if I were to send one to you, Laura, like, oh my gosh, Laura, you're rocking the blue today. What a great service you're giving to your show watchers and listeners. I especially love the point on A, B, and C. Thank you so much for what you give. Give a shout when you got time. Let's catch up. That message was mostly about you, as opposed to what we like. I shifted this in the last few years. I'm like, oh, okay, I get what I've been doing. I won't say wrong, but I will. Here's how I can improve. I used to like, hey, Laura, I'm thinking about you today. I'm remembering. There's a lot of I. Let's do this. It's very me-centric. Now, that's not bad. You can raise the stakes and say, what is it about that person that they need to be reminded of? What is it that you can do to buoy their day, that you can remind them that they are seed, valued, and heard? On Valentine's Day, I picked up my phone and I just went berserk. I sent audio and video messages. I didn't even count. It's probably good I didn't. I probably sent upward of 150.
Wow.
Audio and video, 2 hours. I was just doing it. And I'm like, it was like, I don't know, Turkish delight or whatever, potato chips. Like, yes, I don't want to stop.
Another one.
The intention there is that, hey, I want great people like Laura, wherever you're at in the relationship. Length of relationship is irrelevant to depth, by the way. There's a nugget. You're welcome. Mic drop. Focus on what the intention is. I want to let all these people know, hey, I'm thinking about you. Yes, I am thinking about you. I just heard myself. They are being thought of.
Yeah.
Oh, what a perfect day to Valentine's Day. I sent it to my clients. That's where I essentially stepped off. And then, of course, it went totally crazy pants. My phone started blowing up. I got at least 50 people within that same afternoon who like, oh my gosh, Ginger, this was great. Or, oh, here's an update. One of my friends, like, Ginger, your message was so timely. My dad just died. I needed to hear this.
Yeah.
If you just got chills from that, that's what connection's about. Helping people. If you take one thing away from this fabulous live show with Laura, focus on helping and serving. Seen, valued, heard. Seen, valued, heard. Write it in the chat if you're listening live. Seen, valued, heard. When we truly serve, we will sell. Don't let that be your driver. You will sell and you will actually have record engagement when you help people, support them, serve them, work for them, are hired by them to be seen, valued, and heard. That is the best possible design. That is the alchemy of brand chemistry. That is the magic of belonging that drives authentic, meaningful human connection.
Oh, so good. And I really feel it's so, you just never know when that message you send somebody is going to it's exactly what they needed to hear, or they were feeling lost or alone or whatever. And whatever that you said to them was like, oh my God, I was in a dark place and that just lifted me up. Or,
yes.
I'm going through something difficult, or just whatever that is, it makes people just feel so valued.
Yes. And then give yourself permission, Laura, to pick up the phone, call. Like, you notice I'm not saying text and email. It's very intentional. Nobody says, I want more email.
Oh God.
Run screaming. I have delusions of grandeur, Laura, that someday email will be no longer. When we focus on audio, when we focus on video, the visual and the auditory absorption, I'm not the scientist, but it is scientifically proven to connect us differently. Give yourself permission to also reach out when you need to and say, Laura, I'm having one hell of a day. I need some support. Could you send me a joke? Could you, I want to know, I let yourself do that, because our well-being is absolutely founded in our feelings of connection. Yeah. So if you're struggling in that way, I mean, we all do. We all have crappy days. We all have great days. Share all of it. It's not about trotting out like, I'm bowling again and blah, blah, blah. Okay. That probably a professional might be a good choice. And I'm not demeaning anybody who has those days. What I'm saying is being real instead of showing the happy face all the time is not real life. It's not. And happiness is a choice, by the way. It's not an emotion. If you want more on that, go to arriveathappy.com. Tia Graham's an expert. But circling back to connection, like, let people help you. Because those 150 messages I left, Laura, like, oh, this was all about letting them know that they're amazing from my tiny little perspective in Missoula, Montana. My heart's beating for them. They're on somebody's mind. And to flip the phrase that you just used, you never know, flip it and say, you always know something is going to matter. It's like great design. You always know that something's going to come from it. Have the trust, set the intention to say, something's going to come from this. Something's going to come from this. So to summarize those, use audio and visual messages. Reach out unpromptedly. Find random holidays and say, hey, it's Laura. It's Laura's birthday today. So I'm calling 5 of my friends because she's pretty damn amazing. So are you. Make it a great day. You know, I hope the cake is delicious. You don't have to ask for anything. Just leave a message. Focus on less email, less text. Let go of the relationships that don't help you be fully you. Design your damn life as you want it. Nobody else is in charge of it except you. Take command. You're never fully in control. We never are. Don't aim for control. That's why we have freak on the end of that, by the way. Like, focus on command. It's your ship. It's your super tanker. Focus on the relationships that feed you. One thing I noticed, Laura, is that when the pandemic hit, I felt affronted that I no longer would safely execute in person. I never wanted online. I didn't promote online. I shifted immediately. But I also shifted how I was looking at my relationships. Like, oh, these don't really serve. This is where you want to be selfish for your own well-being. Like, and I'm not talking about self-absorbed is different than being selfish. Self-care, focus on, like, who are the people that feed me? Why am I feeding that wrong beast? Like, feed the right beast. Let go. I got some family wonk. Everybody does. Like, I am no longer willing to let that energy, this positive energy that is ginger, fuel the wrong ships. Love them and let them go. Because when you let something else go, you let yourself free up so much wattage. I'm not saying it doesn't take work. I'm not saying it doesn't take time. I'm saying that if you say, you know what, that relationship, I'm going to love them up and let them go. That's the language I use for myself. So focus on what makes you your most amazing. Design your life, connect, and focus with that intention. And entrepreneurs, I'm not going to use the C word there. You're going to change the world starting with yourself.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. You know, I've been talking about designing my life for years. I've shared that with people when I've spoken that, like, you know, we have one set of china. Like, why would you save the good china for?
That is the good china. You're so right.
Like, we eat on good china. It's not like gold. Like, I want it to go in the dishwasher. Like, I'm not crazy, but like, I'm going to eat on good china every day. I'm going to have one set of dishes, right? Yes. We drive a convertible, which we get a lot of joy from. And, you know, we say it's our 90% car or 80%. It's good 80% of the time.
Those things are workhorses. I've had a few convertibles. You can stack like cabinets and pallets and
oh yeah, the things we just drop the top. Like, that's what you do when you have to carry things. So, right. You can't have the kids in the back when you're doing things like that. But it's about design. Like, how do you want to live? What are the decisions you're making in your business? Just like the people that you have in your life, you get to choose that. And you know, connecting with people is important, but also deciding whose energy you don't want in your life, because when you try to force those connections, that can be really toxic for you, and it doesn't serve anybody.
Bingo. You're so right, Laura. Yeah, make the choice. And for the record, choice is not the same as judgment. Choice is selecting with intelligence and thoughtfulness. Judging is a whole different thing. Don't focus on judging. Get rid of that. Leave that for the courts. That's hard enough for them to do.
Yeah.
No lawyer jokes involved, because they have to make some really hard decisions on their connections and how they go forward. Put yourself in those shoes and like, oh, no way. Actually, no, thanks. I'm going to stay in my shoes. So yes, you're so right. You do get to design your life. I love that. Design your life. Lab Creative. Laura. Live with Laura, y'all. Boom.
So I was going to ask about, but I feel like we covered it because I wanted to talk about the difference between like connecting and marketing, because I feel like there's like kind of,
Yes.
they're so different, but yet we've all
Okay.
been marketing. There's been so much, I totally fell into that marketing, all the things, doing all the things. And yet I wasn't connecting. And as soon as I started connecting again, business started coming in. And I was like, okay, so now I'm like, what happens in my business if I just kind of go, I'm just going to spend all my time connecting with people?
Okay. Great question. Here's the next Venn diagram. You got the MCC. Okay. The M is marketing. The C is communication, and the other C is connection. Where we want to live is right here.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking, and I've told a few people lately, all I want to do is have conversations all day. So we still need to be intentional with that, because yes, that's fun and it feels good, and there is real true purpose in that. And if you're running a business, again, we're going to trot out the I word, be intentional about who you're having those connections and conversations with, Laura. You're so right. Marketing is communication, is connection. This is a 3-dimensional swirl. So if you focus that marketing is communication, it's always been communication, always. And marketing, by the way, is about your client, not about you. Don't send out another damn newsletter that's we. Those are the arpeggios for your warm up for the Met. Don't do that. Focus on them. What's of interest to them? That's marketing. Marketing should be a pull. It should be a magnet. If you're doing it not that way, you're advertising and you're pushing. There's a big difference. Huge difference. Huge difference. For example, let me ask you, Laura, when people sometimes say design, what else do they sometimes actually mean?
Branding.
Okay, totally different, right? What else could they mean?
Website, social media, marketing.
Right, totally different thing. So think of these things as umbrellas. Whoop, just popped it. Marketing is an umbrella. And all these spines that support that beautiful color shield are the elements of it. Public relations, advertising, media of every sort. By the way, if you're doing it right, it's all social. So get rid of that stupid term. Focus on those things. Connecting is another umbrella. What's underneath that? Relationship, intention, marketing, communication. You can have as many spines as you want, y'all. So much. Yes, live at the center of that marketing, the connecting, communication. I feel like we want to come out with a toy, Laura, you and I, like Venn diagram, like a Venn diagram, and like maybe it's like the 8 ball. You can shake it and then different things show up.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, we'll work on that.
Yes, right, because we have lots of free time. Don't know what that is. Anyway.
Exactly. Maybe when we meet in person,
Yes, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay, so I feel like we're going to need a part 2, because I feel like, you have this whole thing around cooking and dinner parties, and we didn't even get into that, but I think we're going to have to we're going to talk further and just about deepening. I think if everybody walks away and just goes, okay, I'm going to send a video or an audio message to I'm going to say 5 people, choose your number, but just random people, and tell them something you admire about them, something you think is, oh, I noticed you're up to this, or whatever it is, just to show that person you're thinking about them. And I think that is just a great way, and see what happens. And then come back and comment in the chat and let Ginger and I know what came of that. What kind of response did you get from people? And, we'd love to see if you continue that on. So that would be amazing.
So good. If you're somebody who really likes to schedule, then do something that one of my coaches, Chris West, says. I do 3 known, 3 new. My intention every day is 3 known, 3 new. Connections, 3 known, 3 new. Do that. You can go through your alphabet. Start at the Z's, start at the Z's, go to the A from there. You're absolutely right, Lara. Choose your number and simply do it. Don't beat yourself up. You're like, oh, well, I missed Tuesday. Well, then start on Wednesday again. Or do it once a year, do it twice a year, schedule it, whatever.
Exactly. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ginger, for being here for this conversation. Thank you everyone who joined us. If you catch the replay, comment below. Let us know, if you found that valuable, if you did those connection calls, how that went. And we'll definitely we'll definitely have another conversation.
Right. I want you in my kitchen. Both, we can do it online and we can do it in real person. So,
I know. I was thinking, because we've got there's this whole cooking theme between Ginger and I. So I'm going to bake something maybe, and you can cook something and we'll do a live.
Oh yes, let's do it. Let's cook it up. At the table is where the best connections happen.
This sounds like an experiment that could go very wrong, but could also be hilarious and very entertaining.
Yes,
So
a little parody. Not much satire in the world.
Thank you so much for being here. Next
you.
week, I've got Andrea Sampson from Talk Boutique. We're going to be talking all about how to leverage speaking to build your business as well. So that's going to be a great conversation next Tuesday at 1:30, I believe, Eastern. So hope to see you there. And thanks again, Ginger.
Thank you, Lori. Thanks, everybody.